Well, it has been a rough week for Northwestern with both Pat Fitzgerald and then baseball coach Jim Foster being fired amid scandals. Athletic director Derek Gregg announced that new defensive coordinator David Braun would be their interim football coach. I talked to CBS Sports college football writer Tom Fornelli about where the program goes from here in the wake of the hazing scandal.
A lot of people I talk to, coaches, players, former players, they kind of stressed to me that this was an investigation that, the school did everything it was supposed to do. When these kind of allegations are made, you take them seriously and you look into them. And as one coach told me, school took them seriously. They did an independent investigation that took a very long time. Coaches were interviewed, players were interviewed, and he said at the end of that, they originally decided it would be a 2-week suspension, and they thought, that kind of spoke for itself. So to go from that to Fitzgerald being fired a couple days later, I think has kind of sent a shockwave, not only through, just college football in Northwestern, but that coaching staff and that locker room.
So where does Northwestern football go from here?
It's an interesting question. If you're going to fire Pat Fitzgerald for what took place in that locker room and the allegations, if he knew about it, or at least, it's his responsibility, you have to think everybody else that's been on that staff holds some sort of responsibility for what took place as well. So Northwestern, they give Braun the promotion from new defensive coordinator to interim head coach. And I think that hiring somebody who was not in that locker room last year gives you an indication of what they're going to be looking for as far as the next head coach and Pat's ultimate replacement, in that they're going to hire somebody from outside the Northwestern family and outside the program so they can kind of get a clean, fresh start. You've heard the name Mike Kafka come up, the former Northwestern quarterback who's now with the New York Giants. I think he's seen as a dream candidate, but I don't know if he would be interested considering his NFL future.
It brings up an interesting question. How attractive is this job right now?
You're going to get paid a lot of money to be the Northwestern football coach if the job is offered to you. You might not get in that $100 million range because a lot of the boosters who have helped, build that beautiful athletic facility that they have along Lake Michigan, and a lot of the people that were, hopefully being counted on for that $800 million new stadium project, if it ever got through, they're not exactly thrilled with the dismissal of Pat Fitzgerald, and I don't know how much financial support they'll be willing to give to the next head coach, particularly if Pat Fitzgerald's lawsuit against the school that he's planning to file goes through.
So with, players likely leaving, coming off an awful season, no Pat Fitzgerald, what can we realistically expect from this team this year?
I have no idea. This is a team that the last 2 years has only won 2 Big Ten games. Like they won the Big Ten West during the COVID season in 2020, but it has been a lot of rough waters since then. There's so many question marks. You have an interim coach. You have a coaching staff that probably can feel pretty confident, knows they won't be back in Evanston next year. So you have to wonder about the buy-in. We've already seen in the recruiting class that Northwestern had lined up, a lot of kids have started to decommit and are looking at other options. With the transfer portal, you have to wonder how many kids that are currently on the team and already in the locker room are going to start looking for other options. But the players I've talked to are not happy about what has happened. You could see that develop into a situation where they kind of rally around it and they play really well and they come out playing better than anybody expected. I don't think that is the ultimate, result here, but it certainly wouldn't be the first time a locker room rallied around a singular cause and used it for success.
Thanks to Tom Fornelli for that. He also thinks the next permanent head coach at Northwestern will likely be a first-time coach, probably a coordinator getting his first shot.